guess what? We're not going to be talking about the measure of angles in this section. We're going to be talking about the measures of chords, of secants, and tangents. You guys ready? Let's go. So chord power theorem is telling me that when I take a look at the relationships that these chords have inside of a circle, we're going to figure some cool stuff out. Check this out. I've got A times B equals C times D. Now, when you're going to be encountering questions that talk about lengths of these segments, these power theorems are going to come in handy. I'll show you how in a sec. Now, secant power theorem tells me that this outside segment here multiplied with the whole thing equals the outside segment here multiplied by the whole thing. Check out some more. This goes along with the same thing. This outside times the whole thing equals c squared, which is the outside times the whole thing. Let's put some of those power theorems to use now. It's saying find HB, given AH is 3, HG is 5, FH is x plus 3, and HB is x plus 1. Let's remember our power theorems now. I know that x plus 3 times the quantity x plus 1 must be equal to 3 times 5. Simplifying this, we have x squared plus 4x minus 12 equals 0. And I'm going to factor that, and we'll have x plus 6 times quantity x minus 2, and I have x equals negative 6 and or 2. Now I can't put a negative 6 in there because then I'm going to get, for this length measure, negative 3, and this length measure, negative 5, and we can't have a negative. So x equals 2. Now they're not asking me to solve for x, they're asking me to find HB, and HB will be 2 plus 1, which equals 3. Done. Okay, next one, example 2. Find BE if AD is 5, DC is 4, and CB, the whole thing, is 12. Now I'm going to put an X on BE. That's what they're asking me to find. Okay, remember that outside times the whole thing equals the outside times the whole thing? Well, I've got on this side here, the outside is 4. The whole thing is 5 plus 4. And it's going to have to equal the outside of this guy here. I don't have that information yet. I know the whole thing is 12 and BE is x, so how about I label CE 12 minus x, okay? So now I've got the outside, which is 12 minus x, and I'm going to multiply that times the whole thing, which is CE plus EB, and that measure is 12. Okay, let's simplify that. So I'm going to have 36 here equals 144 minus 12x, and once I simplify, I get negative 108 equals negative 12x. Divide both sides by negative 12, and I have x equals 9. Are they asking me for x? Let's check it again. X I labeled BE, and yes, they are asking me for BE, which I labeled x, which is 9. Cool. Another way to use our power theorems. We're going to do the outside, x, times the whole thing, which is x plus 5, equals the outside times the whole thing, and I'm going to square it because the whole thing is itself. Okay, let's simplify this. I'm going to have x squared plus 5x equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. Simplify all this stuff here. It works out beautifully. X will equal 4. Are they asking me for x? Yes, they are asking me for x. Good. Let's start filling this one in. AE equals 8. EC equals 4. BD, the whole thing, is 18. Find ED. I will call EDX. Well, in this situation, I need to know all 4 parts. AE, EC, BE, and ED. So far, I only have ED labeled on chord BD. What will I call BE? I'm going to write this down here as 18 minus the quantity of x. Okay, now I could start using my power chord theorem, which is going to be 18 minus x times x equals 8 times 4. So I will have 18x minus x squared equals 32, and I'll have x squared, I like that having the positive coefficient, minus 18x plus 32 equals 0. And once I find these quantities, I have x minus 16 and x minus 2, and so my x values will be 16 and 2. Now, they're asking me to find ED, which, yes, I did call it x, and so there are our values. Okay, friends, let's tackle this one together. I've got TZ is 6, YZ is 4, SX is 3, WX is 1, and find XT. I'll call XTX. Okay. Well, I know in order to find XT, we're looking at these 4 chords here. This segment will equal this segment times this segment. I don't have this guy though, but let's call it Y. Okay, looking on what's going on outside of my circle, it looks like I can do 6 squared equals this outside, which is 4, times the whole thing. And the whole thing here is cut up into 3 segments. Normally we're used to seeing it as 2 segments, but don't freak out. It's 3 plus y plus 4. Again, 3 plus y plus 4 equals the whole thing. And so let's simplify this. 36 equals 4 times y plus 7. And I'm going to have 8, after I simplify, equals 4y, and y will equal 2. Okay, so I'm going to have y equals 2 in here. Now I could use my chord power theorem to find out what x is. In other words, I can do 3 times 2 equals 1 times x. What is x? X equals 6. Now always check, what are they asking me to find? Find xt. Xt is what I labeled as x, so yes, I'm done. Good job, you guys. So this I'm going to save for us to do together in class. It is your ticket out the door. Once we are done with this, take a look at your homework on the next slide, and great job.